So I didn't want to put you on the spot, Teresa, doing part two.
No, it's such a work in progress. I have a case right now that's extremely challenging. I was talking about it with my mentee and she was giving me some tips. When you have someone who, I don't know, I'm not sure why this person is in collaborative, um, because the demeanor isn't that. And I mean, it's gotten, and because I'm not going to go down that road, it gets worse, like these longer emails. I mean, and let me tell you something else. And, and I'm just trying to do the case.
Is your
And
client the difficult one, Teresa? Or
Yeah,
I
that's
don't think so. I don't think so.
who's
And
writing those long
I'm
emails?
trying to that's what yeah, can you like back up a step? Like
yeah,
who's being
right.
difficult? Why shouldn't they be in collaborative? What process should they be in? Should it be more litigation? Should it be mediation? What
So
is
they were
working?
they were in mediation originally. And they were making progress, and I've heard different stories from the mediator, from my client, about why they left. My client says the wife didn't want to stay. The mediator says they just kept going around and around in circles, which is, I can imagine that's probably true. And then the wife hired someone who was not collaboratively trained,
I
and we got a parenting agreement, which wasn't that hard because they were nesting already. They have one son, he's 16, I think he's 17 now. Next September, he'll be 18. So they were already nesting and they already had separate places to live when they weren't nesting. In fact, they bought an apartment for her and he was renting someplace. So it wasn't that hard to get the parenting agreement. And we got that, but that lawyer, was not collaborative. But in hindsight, she was more collaborative than the one I'm working with now, who's collaboratively trained, not part of NYACP. Would not sign a participation agreement. And her client is, I guess, could be described as the disempowered spouse. At least she feels that way. And she does have some diagnosis. She's bipolar.
Mm.
And he is kind of a crusty guy. He's a retired fireman. And I don't want to say more because I feel like I'm giving away too much. And so, she starts with, he's the moneyed spouse and he pays for everything. When I gave her a list of everything that he pays for, she said, well, what are you telling me what he pays for? He should be paying for it. Meanwhile, she's got 2 boxes of $100 bills because she doesn't pay for anything, and she saved all this money that he has a picture of, that the other lawyer doesn't, that I'm not calling her my collaborative counterpart anymore because she's not collaborative. So
What do you call them?
OC, which is,
Yes.
you know what it is, opposing counsel. So right now it's like, I mean, she's demanding all the finances. Meanwhile, when they were in mediation, they worked with a neutral, and there's a whole spreadsheet, and the neutral had everything. And we see what it is. And he's retired. There's no new money, but it's like this. Da, da, da. And now she wants to go back into the marriage. When did he buy this car? And where did he get the money? I'm like, oh my God. So I'm going to just give her what I think she's supposed to have. And hopefully we can get through it. He's paying her another $4,000. I demand this. We were never going to meet until I get this, and we're never going to meet until I get that, and we're never going to meet until I get the other thing. I'm like, fine. I'm not, in my mind, it's not collaborative anymore. And I don't think there's anything I can do to do that except be non-defensive with her and not answer her 18-page emails that she's charging her client a fortune for. Yes, Rachel, help me.
I don't know if I can help you with that, but I wanted to raise the question that has come up in discussions I've had where some people have said that if we don't have a full team, they feel like it's a negotiated settlement and it's not true collaborative practice case. And I was just wondering, what people think about that.
Does that mean that they do it differently, that then they don't act collaborative?
They call it, collaborative with a little c. but-
Smile or collaborate with a smile.
Yeah,
How about
no, I
that?
mean, I think there's
Or
still.
litigation with a smile, I'm sorry.
People are still signing participation agreements. So if it goes to litigation, the attorneys will withdraw.
Right.
And then, but they just have two attorneys and the two parties and
Well, I think we all have done that. Pauline Tesler will say it's not collaborative if you're not doing the whole team.
I think that's what they
Um,
mean by collaborative with a little c, is that they don't sign a participation
That's what I thought,
agreement.
yes. Yeah, I think so too.
And I
No,
think-
actually, you sign a participation agreement, you just don't have the full team.
Right.
So it's a question of the finances of having a full team. So, but you still do sign the participation agreement because I was also at that peer group meeting, Rachel, and we kind of all agreed that collaborative at a minimum has to have the participation agreement. So in your case, Teresa, where you don't even have a participation agreement, like that's really like that's a whole other animal.
Right.
So Rachel, to your point, I think collaborative is the best way to go. And like you said, sometimes with a full team, it becomes expensive, but if you're keeping them out of court, you're keeping everything transparent, and you're getting the case settled, then I think it's a win.
it just occurred to me, Nancy, that we keep saying, oh, it's more expensive with a full team. But I wonder if it's just that the full team cases really need more support.
Mm.
And they would be more expensive no matter what. And
Mhm.
actually, the full team case has, resources to settle financial issues, to understand the emotional issues, to help them understand better their kids' development and emotional needs. And, and there's, obviously meeting with one professional specialist is more cost effective than two attorneys who only half know what they're doing. I wonder if we're not misinterpreting the data by saying a full team case is more expensive.
I agree with you, Kate,
I think you're
Rachel.
right. Oh, go ahead, Andrea.
I agree with Rachel. I think it's very short-sighted for, as I think as attorneys, we come into we want to protect our clients and we want to do best for our clients. And we're so used as divorce attorneys to always doing it all. We were the ones who would be on the phone for hours with the clients. And before there was collaborative, we did the fight, the statements of net worth, and we did it all because we could, but we didn't do it as well as we could because we're not experts in finance and mental health issues. So the team approach it's very short-sighted to say it's going to be more expensive. You're going to pay an expert, a neutral, much less per hour than two lawyers to do the same work. So I never talk about costs. I talk about it with clients as it's a cost savings to have the team. Yes, you're putting more out in the beginning, but over time, you're going to spend less in lawyer fees and more in expert fees and get a better product and a better outcome. Because these are high conflict cases, complicated cases for whatever reason, if it's not high conflict. So I think to lawyers, it's a negotiated agreement and it's going to be tough. Especially when you have mental health issues like this. I mean, it's almost impossible.
Yeah,
So
I know. I fully agree. I mean, I was saying before you got on, I know it's so interesting because I think collaborative divorces can look different, right? Having been in one myself, but I think that having the team there and also recommending, what you're saying, Andrea, about when there's mental health issues going on, and I'm just going to say flat out, going through divorce, everybody needs support for their mental health. Your mental health is just not good during a divorce, and you're not making great decisions because one of the hardest things to ask of a client is to make business decisions, and they're operating from emotion. And it is, I could say on the other side as a therapist and a coach, and I could say having been through it, it is like, it's like the synapses in your brain are misfiring. That's sort of what it feels like. And if you're not well supported, you're going to be showing up to meetings not in a great space and not making great decisions. And everything is going to feel sort of horrible and unfair, right? The word fair is so horrible, but I'm just thinking about clients that I see now and what it feels like, or when I have a coaching client and they're texting me, right, if I'm working differently than as a therapist, and they're like, they have a, they're going to talk to their lawyer, and I'm like, working with them, it's sort of like, how do we take our fear or our sadness? You don't have to stop being sad or stop being afraid or stop being angry
Mm.
to make better decisions, right? But that's where a team is going to help people, because business decisions made from emotion, they're just not going to be good ones. And then when people sign a settlement, they're going to be so resentful after. Like, these decisions have to last people a long time. And I think having the whole team actually will get you go to where you're going faster and more efficiently. Andrea, to your point, that that it actually expedites a process, but it doesn't skip steps, because I think sometimes people want to rush through divorce because it's so horrible feeling, but that doesn't work either. So if you have the whole team, you are dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's and making sure that really sound decisions are made, so that when people look back at their divorce, they can be like, I really did the best I could to make good decisions. You can only work with what you have, but to allow people that to be able to look back and be like, okay, it wasn't perfect, but I really did the best I could. And I think having a whole team does help. And if you can't have a whole team and you're negotiating something, at least people hopefully should have some support outside, um, so that they can, I mean, just for their own selves, they have to keep parenting and going to work, and it's always dinner time. I mean, right? I mean, life doesn't stop when you're getting divorced.
So I'm
I
not
think
saying that, one second, I'm not saying that a full team is not the best thing to do. But sometimes
right.
I look back and I look at all the pre-brief meetings and how we have all these professionals and they're each like an hour, and then the debrief and this and that. And that's where sometimes it comes into a lot of money that, is kind of like behind the scenes.
Sure.
I think
If they
also,
don't have a team, they could also have support outside, whether they have a therapist or something, a coach to help
right,
them.
right.
I
But I
think when
think also,
everybody, I think when everybody is in the room together, the cost becomes overwhelming and it's
Yeah.
beyond one person's control. And they sit and add up the number of hours and minutes and say, this is too expensive. If we worked separately in our areas of expertise, they wouldn't have that, be overwhelmed by the cost of that particular moment. But
that's
sometimes you need
exactly what I was
everybody.
going to say. Yeah. So my sister, as many of you know, my sister had a collaborative divorce. It's 9 years ago already. And it was when we were doing everybody in the room all the time, and I think,
Yes.
and I know my brother-in-law who had adult ADHD and was a great guy, uneducated. I know that he just couldn't process anything that was going on, and it was just this ka-ching. However, all these years later, they will both tell you that they got through it in 6 months and it really worked. And my sister will say how she was helped by, it was Lauren Bierman who was on the mental health, which we called them that at the time instead of family specialist, really helped her because she was one of those blindsided people get past that. And she only said that recently. She didn't say it, even 5 years ago, but she
You
can
may
look
not
back
have known it.
Correct. But I think it's much more efficient when you have, okay, go to the financial person and get your finances put together. We don't have to do that in the room, or we don't have to have the financial person necessarily at the next meeting. So I think that can make it different. But have you seen that it has evolved a little bit out of the full team meetings? Anyone? No? Okay.
I'll say that when we need a full team meeting, it's
Yes.
only because there's so many emotions around the finances, for example.
Okay, right,
We're gonna
right.
need the family specialist in the room for the finances. Not many cases need that, but when you need
That's
it,
what I was
you need
asking.
it.
Right,
But
right.
mostly it's the parents are working with the family specialist on the parenting issues, and you don't need everyone in the room. You don't even need the lawyers in the room. So when everyone is in the room, and even if it's debriefing and pre-briefing and everything, that's all to support progress.
Right.
It's not just to throw money at, just to build them. It should be very purposeful as to why you're meeting before and after and why everyone's in the room. So it shouldn't just be automatic. I mean, every case is different. It's all kind of bespoke, right? What does this family need on this day and this month? And that's where we all come in to work together to figure that out.
So
I find more and more meetings are full team meetings that I've been on.
Wow.
Are they very high conflict, Nancy? Do you
Yeah,
think
probably,
they need
yes.
everyone in the room?
Yeah.
wow.
Although I have one case that's pretty, I guess it's high conflict. And the family specialist worked with them on the parenting plan and then kind of like dropped out, basically. And it is not part of all the other ongoing meetings. And I don't know why.
Have you asked?
I mean, I don't know. I think the attorneys were looking to ask, like, why did this happen? But it's odd.
So I want to share, I received a call yesterday from a potential client, and it was so heartbreaking. I mean, this one threw me. They had gone out to dinner as a family, husband, wife, 2 kids. The night before, Saturday night, went out to dinner, great celebration, everybody was happy. The next day, he asked her for a divorce. And, you know, I didn't know. All I could say was, I'm sorry.
Blindsided. Yeah.
I know. I just, wow.
That's
So,
terrible.
isn't that terrible? And that's all I could, Nora, thanks for saying that, because it was like, all I could say was, I'm so sorry. And
Yeah.
I can hear how,
Just as a human, like, oh my gosh, you can't even imagine what that would feel like to
right.
be blindsided like that after.
Can you imagine? And of course, she's a mother. And so
Oh,
she's
goodness.
just like how her kids took it, and the kids feel like all
The
unsettled.
kids
And
found out at the same time. He was like, I'm done. And then they told the kids right away.
I didn't,
I'm like, I'm sweating from that information.
no, because I haven't
I'm like,
been
I'm having a panic on this
tired.
call.
Like I didn't go, and I was just,
Yeah.
it was just one of those,
Oh
but
gosh.
it really, and of course he wants this done yesterday.
Mhm.
And, she's just like, I need to breathe. And I'm like,
Oh,
you do need
goodness.
to breathe, and you
Yeah.
go ahead and breathe. And it's just.
Well, a lot of times the initiating person has been thinking about it for 2 years.
100%.
Yes.
And the other person is like, phew.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
this
and I
guy
shared
was
that.
probably like, I'll just get through this dinner and then I'll tell her.
Yeah. No, I shared that with her, Rachel. I shared
Yeah.
that data point with her. It doesn't help her,
Right.
right? I mean,
No.
normalizing it I guess it helps a little, but she's still kind of like, where do I begin? I thought like,
Well,
yesterday I thought we were leaving our children this, beautiful fairy tale life, and now like it's all in shambles.
it can help in that it may help her to say, you have to effing slow down because
Yeah.
you have been preparing for this and I have not.
Right.
That happened to a client of mine. It was like New Year's Eve. She tells me she and her husband go out. They have a beautiful night. They're with friends. Everything's fine. They have 3 kids, blah, 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 big house. Everything's wonderful. He's a lawyer. She became like a 50s housewife without realizing it. In the end, she's like, how did I become this? But anyway, at that moment, everything's fine. And they're like going to sleep that night. And he says, I want a divorce. Like out of nowhere, like blindsided
I
like that.
know.
And so she probably came to me a month or 2 after that, not the next day, but it was still really hard. Turns out he was in another relationship. He had a girlfriend. And we did a collaborative divorce. And, in the end, it was good. It worked out. And I remember her saying, I just wish he'd get hit by a bus. I don't want to go through this. I don't want to have to, just wish he'd get hit by a bus, And she ended up going back to school and, getting her master's. And so, yeah, but you have to slow it down. At some point, she's going to have to speed up. But
Yeah.
so getting the collaborative case, like maybe sending them to a family specialist to start and talk about the collaborative process, you know, as a good way to kind of set the stage and explain the process and ex I don't know, that might be I find that could be helpful sometimes to
You know,
That's
start.
a great suggestion. I had actually offered, I did not want to push anything. So
Mm.
I told her that, when she was ready, that she was in a panic about the finances, right? Similar situation, Andrea, she became the 50s housewife. She had an inheritance, and so she has like this panic about commingling funds but fortunately, she used the inheritance to use as a down payment on a townhouse in Brooklyn. So, fortunately, I was like, well, depending if we can trace the funds and, all of that. But she was in such a panic about the finances that I suggested, when she was ready, that I could give her some names. But I think you're right that maybe the better approach would have been to suggest a family specialist.
Yeah, it's not too late. I mean, you could call
Yeah.
her.
Yeah,
I'm
right,
thinking,
right.
you know.
She sounds
Yeah,
like
thanks
she's
for
gonna
that.
need
Yeah.
support too, and they're gonna need support to help their kids, obviously, because that is a big bomb to drop.
Unbelievable.
Children.
Yeah.
That,
you know,
Even though they're college age, it's sort of like,
it's interesting. The research shows that when parents split up, when like kids are much older, that like they look back and they feel like their life was a lie because they just can't believe that their parents have split up, or like people like, oh, we're gonna wait till the kids go to college. It's just a different trauma. It's just like people are like, oh, it's better. There's not like a good time to get divorced. And of course, this woman is blindsided, though my guess, if I were making a hypothesis, is that if she was in therapy or whatever, that she would look back and she would start to see that other things were going on, or be in
Mm.
touch with her own dissatisfaction in the marriage. But sometimes we're just going along,
Right.
and we just don't touch it, because if we touch it, it's just too big. But I feel terrible for her because and then she's also dealing with her kids if they're away at college, and they're going to be home for the summer probably, I assume
they're
now.
already home.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's
They
that's
June.
a
go out to
lot.
dinner the next day. I mean, it's like,
so
Yeah.
you talk about, like the person that's asking for the divorce has contemplated it. Many years ago, when I first started and was being trained and everything else, a friend of mine said, oh, my brother's moving from his big house in Kings Point to like a smaller home. And I couldn't understand why, because they're doing really well. And I said, is he contemplating divorce? No. 3 years later,
Oh,
Mm.
God.
filed for divorce.
Oh, my
And now they
God.
had a smaller house, smaller expenses. I was like,
Wow. Talk
so
about
people do
planning.
take the steps when they're thinking about it.
Nancy,
Wow.
I'm kind of concerned about having your friendship, but like,
I'm very transparent. What can I say?
oh my God.
I feel like I would love to compile stories of terrible ways to tell
Yeah.
you know? Like
Oh, the
I
50
had,
ways not to leave your lover.
right, I had a
Oh
woman
my
who,
God.
a woman who went to parents' weekend at college, and her son's best friends came over and said, "Oh, we're so sorry to hear that you're getting divorced." Her husband had left a note for her under the pillow and then told the kids. She
Wow.
never found the note.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like, she was like a light sleeper. Like she didn't toss and turn. She didn't feel under the pillow, and she hadn't gotten the note.
Wow.
And of course, her kid had like gone and told his best friend.
My
So I think
God.
there should be a chapter in the book like, this is what happened, and then have the family therapist or one of the specialists say, this is how it should have happened. You know?
He's lucky. He's a jerk. She's really very fortunate.
And then I had a case where there were 5 kids. Father comes home from work, says, let's have a family meeting, and wife and 5 kids. And he tells them all at
Oh,
once,
God.
like the dinner, you're
Oh.
describing, Carmen. All of them
Oh
at
my
once.
God.
Well, I had one that it was October 31st when he called me, the husband. On Monday morning, they had an adult autistic son who had just gotten placed where he will live the rest of his life with a job and a place to live. And they had sort of taken like a hiatus from their relationship till this was worked out. And he woke up that morning thinking, okay, we're going to start our new life. And she said, the movers are coming in 5 minutes. I'm leaving.
Wow.
All right, that
Not
one.
just the
really-
men.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah, wow.
However, they are trying to work it out right now. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting. He'll ask me legal questions. It's really an emotional question, but he wants to know the law. So it's, who knows? All I know is there's a lot of sex going on. So it could be a glue
Well,
sometimes.
Somebody remind me the statistic on like it's a very high statistic
Is
for
it?
couples. No, for couples who have children with special
it's
needs.
70
Oh,
to
oh, oh,
90%. I used to actually work at Autism Speaks. I spent a good portion of my younger career working, developing resources for families who were diagnosed and helping them process through their new diagnosis. And so many people end up divorced. That was a statistic I knew, but it is well over the 50% that we see for couples with neurotypical children. The stress is on the family, including the finances. We do not live in a world, especially as children are aging, that there is support for differently abled adult humans, and it is a very, very stressful on couples. It's like you don't expect that that's going to happen, especially if it's a severely impacted child. I mean, I have a dear friend who was their child got diagnosed, and she just poured everything, of course, into getting therapies and whatever. And he was like, "I'm going to the gym," and it was just, you know.
Right, right,
She
right,
was, she's,
right.
and unbelievable. This child is a teenager, and he is just so doing so
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
because of all of her
amazing.
efforts. But it takes effort, and
Yeah.
you know,
Did
Or
anyone
what was
see
the first
Survivor?
percent?
what was that?
Did anyone see Survivor?
No.
Where there was a girl who's severely autistic. Parents did everything they could, and now she has this PhD and she works with the government and
Amazing.
they poured all their resources into her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it can really bring people together, or it can push them apart. But of course, that also takes extra. If you have a young child who is, differently abled, that is a whole other level of financial planning too, of course. For couples going through divorce. And I think that those couples actually should have language in their agreements that they need to be meeting and reevaluating their finances, that it can't be a one and done, because the needs of a growing child are constantly changing. And if you make a plan, what their therapies and whatever might cost when they're, let's say, 2 or 3 or 4, could be very different than when they're older. And so, that's sort of like sending them out into the abyss. Like, they really do need to be meeting, and I think in an agreed upon amount of years to reassess the financial needs of the child, so that burden doesn't fall on one person, right? Somebody might start earning more money or whatever, and who knows what the child's needs are. It's impossible to know if there's, super young, what it will become.
Mm.
Though I'm not a financial expert, but that is my opinion, that they do need that, because it's a huge expense.
It is, and there's just so many booby traps, right?
Yes.
Because you have to worry about how it's structured. So
Mhm.
you need like, a trust expert because of the special
Right.
needs trust. Like you need,
Right.
or how it's going to impact any sort of
Mhm.
Medicaid that they might receive. I mean, it's just like fraught with trouble.
Yes. Yeah.
I handle a special needs trust, and parents never acknowledged that their child was severely mentally disabled.
Hmm.
It was terrible.
Yet they had a trust.
They had a trust afterwards when, like, an attorney got involved and said, this is what you need and all the services and everything else.
Ugh.
And also when he inherited money from his grandmother. So one trust goes back to Medicare or Medicaid or whatever, if it's unused. And then there's another trust that the father then, when he passed away, was a special needs trust under the will. So it was different. So that's like safe. So it's
Like
terrible.
really bad choices.
Yeah.
Really bad choices. And sometimes they don't know any better, but sometimes they do and they just avoid it.
Right.
There are people who won't get their kids diagnosed. They think that it's going to mean something bad for
Mm.
them, but it doesn't. It just opens the door for
It doesn't help.
services. Yeah, the earlier you got services, the better the longer term outcomes are for your child.
So I'm sorry, I don't know the two Tracys. Are you both new to the group? Does everyone know everyone here?
Teresa, I've met you actually.
Oh.
We met at the NYECP lunch at
Oh.
Vincent's a year or so ago. I work at Samuelson House.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. That's terrific.
Yes.
So
we
is
did meet.
that firm on Long Island?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're in Garden City.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
terrific.
Oh, I'm
Yes,
in
we
Garden
do.
City too.
Who's in Garden City also?
I am.
Nora.
Nora.
Oh, Nora, hi.
Okay.
And I'm a Long
Oh, that's-
Island person as well.
Okay. Hi,
Tracy, do you
Teresa.
mediate at Samuelson House as well as do collaborative?
Yes, I do mediations. I'm collaboratively trained now. I've only done collaborative light cases. So looking forward to learning more about the process and, delving in. I actually have a question before Tracy Badgley gets to introduce herself. We were talking earlier about the full team versus not the full team. What about the people that come to you and say, well, if I was able to work out a parenting plan with my husband and, just a therapist or child specialist, I could do that in mediation. So like when I sit down with my clients, I go through a lot of options with them about whether it's the basic parenting time plan and the holiday schedule, which, is a little bit easier typically. Obviously, I don't have the background that, a therapist would have. Although I really liked that session that we had a few months ago with Barbara. I thought that was really very interesting, and I've been referencing that a lot. But the people that I have worked with, even in, collaborative light or negotiated settlements, not all of my cases are in court, they want that advocacy. They want someone to help shape the narrative a little bit in their sessions because they don't want to have to go home with their spouse and, take maybe a stronger position in a meeting. And now they have to live with the consequences of that while they're still cohabitating.
What's the question, Tracy?
How do you deal with that? I'm hearing a lot of, well, they should maybe just go meet with the therapist on their own, the child specialist, and let them work out the parenting plan there, save some money maybe without attorneys.
Well, I'll jump in here.
Yeah. Me too, when you're done.
Attorneys, when you have and I don't know what you mean by collaborative light, but I'm talking about a collaborative divorce where everyone signed a participation agreement. There's a team established, created. You're going to be working with your client, as the advocate, to get clear on what's important to them, what their concerns are, what they might hear from the other parent, and prepare them for that meeting with the family specialist. So both attorneys should be preparing their clients for that meeting. There should be clarity about what they're talking about, and then get feedback after the meeting. How did it go? What happened? And the family specialist should be setting terms and asking them, do you want to talk about this outside the meeting? Are we agreeing we'll only talk about this inside these walls or Zoom room or whatever? You're not going to talk about it at home. So there'll be an understanding, I would imagine, I do that in mediation, that the family specialist will make it clear with them. Are you comfortable talking about this or no, we're not
Right,
talking about
right,
this
right.
out on our own. So, and that might change over time. So Does that answer your question? Because you have your advocate, and then if it's becoming way too like, we're not making progress, then maybe the attorneys need to be in the room. And the attorneys and the family specialists will meet all together if there's a real sticky point. Maybe the basic stuff can get done, but then, I don't know, there's something that's sticky that needs the attorney's attention. So again, it's really, what does this family need? Does that answer your question? Or
I see Teresa has
Thank you.
wants to jump in too.
And I remember you came in through Jackie Caputo.
Yes.
Had a case with her. Okay. So I think in reference to where you work, I don't think people are coming to your firm necessarily looking for mediation or collaborative. And so there's a whole orientation, to really like sort of change their mindset a little bit, that this is a whole different way of approaching. And, do you want to have, something that's not going to be contentious, and we're not going to be at war, and we're really trying to get the best for the two of you, that kind of, it's I think they don't know what to expect. And most people have heard that this is going to be war, and, to really calm them down and say, it really doesn't have to be a war, and we can work together in this way. And I think that's something I do all the time, because people are calling me, they don't know why. People who call who don't know what process they're looking for, are really mostly always really happy to hear that. And if they say, no, I want to go slit this person's throat, I'm like, okay, then go somewhere else, because we're not going to do that here. So that might be part of what needs to happen.
I would also offer that if you have clients that are going home and they live together and it's really rough because you're going home and you might have little kids and the backpacks are on the floor, and it's like whatever is just happening in day to day, and it's very hard to manage that. I would also offer that if they have a family specialist or a therapist they're working with, that they maybe create some space after the meeting. So let's say you have a collaborative meeting, it's 10 o'clock in the morning or it's 11 o'clock in the morning. Maybe parent A is going to have a work meeting and they're not going to be in the house right after. So everybody has a minute to cool down, right? Because even though it's collaborative, it's still really emotional and intense, and they might need a minute, right? Or maybe a grandparent or somebody can come and help out, or they have some level of self-care after, and the acknowledgement that this is hard. You're doing really uncomfortable things and you're still living together. And all caps, you still have to parent your children. So let's get real and talk about how we're actually going to do that. And if they can't be together, they feel like they're going to be really angry at each other because of something that was said or done. I think it's really important to normalize that, even in a collaborative or even in a mediation. This is hard stuff. How do we create a little bit of space? Would that be better? Can we make some sort of an agreement that the day of these meetings, we hire a babysitter and someone's going to, go play tennis, or someone's going to go have dinner with their friends, and there's going to be somebody else there to help with the kids? How do we ease the burden on the clients when they're going home, Tracy, right? Because it's just not easy. And how can we create support structure for our clients so that when they're in their real life after, we're not just like, okay, go home and deal with your 3 screaming children, who, by the way, know that something is wrong. Even if they don't know about the divorce yet, they know, they can feel the stress. And that's going to make like after school and bedtime harder. So working with a family, I think, to create something for the days that there are meetings, or maybe even the day after. Hey, if you're having a hard time, how do I tap out? Or how do I say to my spouse, you know what, I'm still really angry. I'm still really upset. It's okay to create a little bit of space there. I think so it's calmer at home for the children. When the children are calmer, parent A and parent B are calmer, and we can get through and get out of the heat, right? Or the emotional leftover from the meeting. And so I think that can also be really helpful. Like, let's get in reality here. And in reality, coming off of a meeting like that, I say it personally and professionally, it's just sometimes not easy. And it's okay to acknowledge that it's not easy. And let's help our clients get through those next few days and like make a plan, like a real life plan, like come to some agreements about what's it going to look like. when you come home from the meeting. I don't know if that sounds like that could be helpful, but
I
it
think
is.
that sounds great. I mean, I think a
Yeah.
little bit to talk about how you should do self-care after a meeting like that with a lot of tension. I think that's a
Yeah.
great idea.
But also I think it gives them some control too.
Mhm.
They can, they can control this a little bit. It's not.
And it's also
so crazy.
acknowledging that it is tense. You always like to end a meeting on a high note. Wow, you worked really hard or whatever it is, but to give them that extra, tool, so to
Mhm.
speak. I think it's a great thing to add.
Tracy Badger.
Seems tough introducing myself after all that good information. Oh, anyway, I'm Tracy Badgley. I am a CPA. I'm a partner with PKF O'Connor Davies. I'm in the Newburgh office. I've been here for about a year. I come out of the Dutchess County pod. So we joined in with with your organization about a year ago and came in.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm also a CDFA, financial neutral. So I'm originally a Long Island girl. I came from Long Island, but I've been in the Hudson Valley for over 35 years now. So
So you work with Barbara Bell.
yes, I work with Barbara Bell. Barbara Bell and I are pretty good friends.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And is there a lot of collaborative where you are?
There was a bit, but there's not that much going on now. And the last case I was called in on was right in the middle of tax season, and I said I could not commit
You're
to
right.
the time or energy that was needed. And I said, you got to find somebody else. So, but
What drew you here?
what drew me to this meeting, this
To
particular,
collaborative.
It's a long story, but I was with a former firm and somebody said, let's build a niche in divorce stuff. And it was a partner of mine. And I said, well, I can't just throw myself into it. I got to. So I became a CDFA, found out about it and really, did it, took the test, did all the stuff that I needed to do, and then got involved in in the divorce stuff, consulting first. And then somebody told me about the collaborative process, and it was just such a kinder, gentler way of doing it. And it really suited my personality more than, the other ugly stuff.
Right. That's
So
great.
it drew
Yeah.
me in. So
Thank you.
That's great.
Cool.
Well, welcome on all accounts.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And for coming to this meeting where it was just a hodgepodge of
Yeah, right.
I like to hear the stories. I like to hear what everybody's going through. There's sort of a collegial thing when that everybody else is dealing with the same things, and hearing how to deal with it and the
Yeah.
words to use is very important.
You talk about words to use. So I put down on from another meeting, instead of mom and dad, you talk about family, or instead of stretching versus compromise, not derail, but bumps on the bowling alley or something, bumper guards on the bowling alley, muck up the process versus F up. That your love for your kids has to be bigger than your fight with each other. So, I think that would be a good thing to have all these different terms of ways to say things. It's like when someone said it's not, and I'm going to get it wrong, separate property versus premarital property or something like that, which is the appropriate term.
My
Yeah.
husband was a life insurance agent for over 30 some odd years. And he said the first thing he would do would be talk about the kids. And he said the turnaround of what their attitude was towards the meeting when you spoke about the children changed the whole
That's
gestalt of the meeting.
fascinating.
The
That's
whole
amazing.
thing. And he would, he'd find out the names of the kids. He would name the kids by name. He would say, this is not about your spouse. This is about Johnny and Susie.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
once you frame it that way, so it's, and he was very successful in what he did because he was
Wow.
trying to prepare for, the kids and all that stuff. He was one of the good life insurance agents.
Right,
doing the right
That's
thing.
cool.
But
That's cool.
yeah, always about the kids.
Right.
That's
I always
right.
say, you're no longer going to be husband and wife, but you're always going to be a family. And to be able to go to life events together where, you're not, anxious and your kids aren't anxious is a game changer.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
People
I
literally
mentioned,
comment about that to me and my ex-husband. It's like really weird you guys go to school stuff together. I mean, it's like an anomaly. And that's not to say it's not a work in progress even after, but it's a conviction and you have to just keep, working at it. But if you go through a divorce and you're at each other's throats, our kids are looking for us, when they have their little performances at school and there's an assembly and they're looking. They know. And when they're grown-ups and they ask me questions, I say this to clients all the time. Are you going to be able to answer for the decisions you made in your divorce when your kids are grown-ups? They're not going to be little forever. They're going to ask you, why'd you do that?
Right.
People don't like when I say that when I do co-parenting work, like, that's really messed up. I'm like, is it messed up? You're going to be a parent to adult children way longer than you are to little children, right? Those people with grown
So much
children
harder.
know. It's the truth. They're going to ask questions. They ask questions now. If you're quiet, really quiet with kids, they'll ask you questions. And they're big questions.
I have
Mm.
personal war stories about this, of things that you guys were talking about. My husband's parents got divorced when he was 25, 28, and it was an amazingly traumatizing event for him. Just what you were talking about in the
Mhm.
beginning. And then what you're talking about now with being able to co-parent and do, all that stuff. I lived through it with my daughter and her boyfriend. Were together for 14 years. They just got married this October because his mother finally agreed to be at the wedding with the ex-husband.
Wow.
And they waited. I mean, it was a really bad situation where she had, mental health issues and stuff, and threatened stuff if she had to ever see him again. And they just wouldn't get married because they were worried about the whole thing.
Wow.
So,
yeah, I
I'm
want to
just-
I want to share one thing. My father wouldn't be in photos with my mother at my sister's wedding. So for 10 years he wouldn't talk to her. She left him really badly. When you were talking about bad left pleasing
Yes.
stories, my mother was one of those people. It made me realize, holy shit. But anyway, what I
Mine
want to
too.
share is I might have shared this in another NYCP meeting at some point recently, but I check in with clients, regularly.
Yes.
Like, how you
Love
doing,
that.
right? And so one of them is Nancy, you were the CDFA on the case. I checked in with this woman and they were older couple and she said, things are great. We're having, we're celebrating holidays, religious holidays with our adult children regularly. My ex-husband had to go through recurring cancer treatment and I was able to help him. He helped me recently renovate my kitchen, measured things for me. We are doing so much better. And it was hard to go through this collaborative divorce, but I have to tell you, it's the best thing. And our friends regularly thank us for not making them choose between us. So if I've shared that with anyone else before,
I'm
but
Yeah,
curious to
no,
know
that's
who it
great.
is. Private chat me.
I'll have to tell you, yes. So I think that's a success story.
Exactly.
I love that. That's so beautiful. I was like, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. That's great. I have a funny story about that. But Kristen, does everyone know Kristen? I want to make sure.
Kristen's
Yes.
a new
Yep.
board member for NYACP,
Okay.
but you can talk a little bit about yourself if people aren't.
Me, right?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, hi everybody. I've been quiet on this one, but yeah, my name's Kristen. I live on Long Island. I've worked on Long Island for a bulk of my career, and I was in the world of matrimonial and family litigation for like, I don't know, 10, 11 years. And just, I don't know if it was burnout or just needing a different direction, but I was just completely miserable in court all the time. Tracy and I go back because we had a case together actually, and we like bonded over how much we hate this.
Oh.
And
Oh, that's so
we hate
nice.
court, and there's got to be another way. There has to be a better way. And I started researching, better ways. And I came across this idea of collaborative practice, and I was like, oh my gosh, there are brains that are like mine, and I need to somehow find a way to get into this way of practicing this field. Like I was even thinking maybe I shouldn't be doing divorce and family law. Maybe this just isn't for me at all. Looked into education law. I mean, I just was really on just at a crossroads, I guess, of what I do. And when I found this field, I then started finding firms that focus only on mediation and collaborative practice. And so that brought me to Adam Berner, who I'm working for now. And I am both in New York and New Jersey. I'm on Long Island a couple of days a week. So trying to branch out here and make contacts here as well. I just like, it's such a better way. And it was so relieving to find a niche where I fit professionally. So
we met years ago, but I didn't know your story, and that's amazing. I did not practice for 11 years because I hated it.
yeah.
And I learned about mediation because my daughter's high school had a peer mediation group that did a demonstration for the Parents Association. And I went, oh, I'm a mediator. And then that was it. So that's so cool. So my parents divorced when I was 24, and it was horrible. And my mother, the first way she tried to leave was she bought a one-way ticket to San Francisco, but she got sick in the limo on the way to the airport, and they threw her out. My father had to pick her up. And it was a terrible, but Ken Newman, who was one of my trainers, said to me many years later, what did the weddings look like? I have 3 sisters. And I eloped, and my mother showed up anyway, which really wasn't fair. The second one, we paid somebody to make sure my father didn't crash. The third one, I didn't go to because my father wasn't invited. And the fourth one, both my parents were at. But it was awful. I mean, I could cry thinking about it now. It was really, really terrible. But now a funny story. So we all, I think many of you were at the training with Jacinta, whatever her name is. And so she has this booklet that she gives to her mediation clients to learn what their conflict style is and how they work through things. And she made everyone at this meeting, at this training, do the booklet. Now, I'm married almost 49 years, I think. And to sit down and think about what you would do if you're getting divorced is kind of weird, because if you're not thinking about divorce, it's kind of a strange thing to be doing. And like the story that, that was just told about the couple, Andrea, about the couple that's getting along so well. So I'm going through these, I'm saying, oh, we would have a good divorce, and we'd still be friends, and we'd still be good parents and good grandparents, and we'd take care of each other, and we do holidays together. So in my mind, I said to myself, so why bother? When I told the story to my husband the next day, when I got to the point where we really would be all this good stuff, he goes, oh, great, let's do it. I know it could be funny and not funny, but it's funny.
I always say
You're
that,
still married.
I'm married probably almost 46 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was going for all this training and everything else, I'm thinking like, well, I know where all the bodies are buried because I handle all the finances.
Right.
But because of this, I'm like, you got to be a kinder, gentler person. You got to think about your family, and you got to do what's right. And that's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know Andrea's jumping off. Other people have jumped off. I want to wish everyone a great summer.
Wait,
Oh,
Nancy,
yeah.
one more thing. When I
Yeah.
was doing my CDFA training, my husband came home and saw the divorce books on the kitchen counter. And he's like, is there something I'm supposed to know?
So
Yeah.
CDFA, I took a course with someone about divorce, and there were 10 people. 8 of them were divorced. The 9th one was going through a divorce, and I'm the 10th one that's still married,
God.
right? And my husband would like ask me a question or be something as I'm driving, go, do you want me to make this practical knowledge?
Except my son found an affidavit I was writing for a client, and he did not realize that it was for somebody else.
Oh, God.
I had this, what I thought was a wonderful marriage. I still think is a wonderful marriage, but my poor child. But
Oh,
my father's beating my mother.
oh, God.
So be cautious with your files.
Really, that's a great story. And he's waiting for the shoe to drop till you tell him we're getting divorced.
Yeah, right. Aw. How old was he?
10.
Oh, gosh. That's terrible.
Bad. So they took him away from me because And let's see, one time, Child Protective Services came to the house, a truancy. This is my daughter's house. So they walked in and my grandson said, "Could you get us our real parents?"
Oh, boy.
So yeah.
Nice to see you, Georgia.
That was a smile all summer.
Okay.
The other one came out of the
So I
inside
just want to
out.
remind everyone, and Teresa, I'll talk to you offline.
Okay.
We have the gala, December 4th, celebrating 25 years.
Yay.
And we're going to be honoring all the people that started in the organization to make it what it is today and the past presidents.
Great.
So mark it on your calendar. Spouses are invited. Any family, friends, whoever, it's open to everyone.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for being part
Bye.
of this.
Thanks.
And
Bye.
Teresa, you want to stay on for a sec?
Sure. Yeah.
Bye all.
Bye.
I can talk anyway. So yeah, so we're doing a journal
Uh-huh.
as part of like a fundraiser. I think I'm going to be sending the stuff out. You know, I think I have a meeting either this Friday or next Friday with making sure that, you know, the notifications go out early.
Right.
Sponsorship, things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, you know, certain pages, you know, you get like 6 tickets at a table, that kind of thing, depending upon what.
Okay. Great. Yeah.
But,
That's what I was
we're
wondering.
going to be sending that all out to everybody,
Okay.
you know.
And so is it all, how many of who's considered a founding member? How many is it? So you said all founding members.
No, and Neil Kozak has it. I can go back to my notes, but I know it's you. I know it's June Jacobson is one of them. I think
Oh, cool.
Barry is one of them.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to think. Maybe there's like I think Mary Ellen.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think there may be like 10 founding members, maybe.
Is Neil Kozak?
Yeah, I think Neil Kozak was one of them. I'm not sure about Catherine, I guess probably too. I'm not sure.
Catherine
Miller.
Oh, was she?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure she was one of them.
She was not in the first training.
But you know, we have a whole list, and then it's past presidents.
Okay. Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
So Mary Ellen's a past president too.
Yeah. So yeah.
Amy Karen Day.
Is she on the list?
I don't know.
She
was she was in that first training.
So I'll have to look and see. Yeah.
Georgia, you can't get rid of us, huh? All right. So I was just wondering. And okay. Right. As long as we get, you know, is it's going to be tables. Is that
tables? Exactly. Right.
Okay, good.
So we're going to need someone to figure out the tables, you know, that kind of thing. So like if you have, let's say, if you buy, you know, certain pages get like 6 seats, it's going to be a 10-seat table, that kind of thing.
Right. So, you know, the other reason I was thinking, I mean, I love your idea about a journal ad. I think that's really the best. I mean, I think that, you know, you know what it goes to.
It's going to go to the organization anyway, and they do sponsor and scholarships or whatever, you know.
Right. But I don't want to push that since I'm being honored.
Oh, no, absolutely. And you know what? You should be like in the ad, you know, like, you know, you should be highlighted.
Right.
You know, as one of the founding people.
Right. Okay, well, you'll take care of that if that's what
I will. I definitely will take care of that. I spoke to Lloyd about that yesterday.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
And they're also looking to have a bus, or not a bus, but like a limo kind of thing from Long Island and one from Manhattan.
Oh,
you know, which would be additional, but at least, you know, you don't have to worry about driving. Everyone can be together drinking.
Yeah. And there's still a program that day.
No program.
Oh. Wow. So there's no annual program.
Nope.
Oh, how interesting. Oh, super. Okay, great. That makes sense.
Yeah. Actually. And then this way, you know, spouses, kids, you know, whoever you want.
Right. Okay.
and whoever you want to eventually send, like, I know I've been solicited from like the Nassau County Bar to do ads, which I've done, kind of.
Right.
So whoever you want to do, not to be shy
Mhm.
about,
Right,
supporting
right.
that kind of thing.
Okay. I thank you, Nancy, for you've been instrumental in getting me active here again. And your words of encouragement really meant a lot to me. It really did. And I guess it was a time that made sense, but I credit you for that. So thank you.
Thanks. Well, this shouldn't be taped, so I'll talk to you offline or something else.
I forgot
But
we were
I
taped.
appreciate all your help, getting this pod going and all your active part in NYACP, which I want to tell you has been recognized.
Thank you.
I mean, definitely recognized, so we can talk offline, but yeah.
Okay. Super. Thanks.
Okay. I'm going to give you a
Okay.
call.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay.
Bye, Georgia.
Bye.
She's
She'll be
gone
on
now.
still. Okay. Bye-bye.